Welcome back, everyone, to OpenLine. Talking with Representative Yusuf Hakeem, a Democrat from Hamilton County, just passed a bill, was the sponsor of a bill that it's called the Black History Act. Requires that people, kids, students in grades 5 through 8 learn some black history, and that will go into effect in 2025. So it's going to go into effect. It's passed both houses, Senate and the House. So let's talk about this legislative session.
Okay.
How heated has it been? What are your thoughts on this session?
Well, I think politics, of course, plays a role, and I really feel like it's more so what has come into our state from other places, you know, positions on bills and so forth. And as a result of that, it's created a lot of tension and distrust. When you add to that, we've come through COVID. And, you know, the legislature is like any other group of people, you know, tensions will flare. You know, after COVID, tensions flared on the street, you know, things happen. And we've had, if I remember correctly, 3 special sessions in addition to our regular sessions. So we're a bit tired, we're a bit irritable, but even at that, I guess I use that term, light at the end of the tunnel, that now I don't feel we're as tense or at each other, or you know, that we have been. And I think it's more now of trying to look at what it is we're trying to do with the education bill, you know, TISA, and you know, and whether we're going to try to stay with BEP or move forward with a plan that has been put forth by the administration. And so there's a lot of thought going into that, and it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out in regards to education.
So you think the temperature is lowering a bit?
Yes, sir.
Started out high.
Yes, sir.
You started out with a redistricting.
Yes, yes.
And all kinds of stuff. COVID, you're right. A bunch of special sessions. Now you think it's lowering.
I do believe that.
And maybe the passage of your bill is one indication of that.
Well, we're hopeful.
Let's go to Elaine, I believe. Hello, Elaine.
Hello.
Go right ahead.
Yes. I first of all want to thank Representative Hakeem for bringing this bill, and I want to know the people that are on the selection committee who will determine what goes into the textbooks, and then will the public have an opportunity to give input?
Okay.
All right, very good. Thank you, Elaine. What about that?
All right. First of all, the State Board of Education oversees the process. They're over curriculum. Now, there are committees that are put together of public citizens who have the opportunity to be a part of that, have input, but the final decision would be made by the state school board in regards to the curriculum. And this school board that we have now is different from one we had in the past. In the past, the governor would appoint all 9 persons. This time around, there are 3 persons who are selected or nominated by the Speaker of the House, 3 by the Speaker of the Senate, and 3 by the governor. And you know, the feeling is it's more, the legislators have more input maybe than what we've had before. And I think that gives more of a voice to the average citizen who may be on that committee than maybe they've had in the past.
And how much of a voice do parents have? Again, I'm interested in your background as you were on the school board for 10 years back in Chattanooga. How much of a voice will parents have when it comes to your bill and who's included?
If it stays true to the concept that we're talking about, a person who have a history and a track record, positive role models, you know, it should be simple. But if there's an effort to bring, you know, other dynamics into it, you know, it could create unnecessary concerns. But parents, if they're on that committee, will have an opportunity to give their input. And I would imagine in some cities, you're going to have community organizations or groups who will want to review those additions that are put forward for consideration, as well as the state school board itself.
Right. As far as back to the legislature, how much longer do you think this session is going to go?
Okay. There is no, we'll say, exact date time that we can give you, but the belief is, including this week, that 2 to 3 weeks is what we'll be doing. The big things we have to deal with, one is the budget, and the other is dealing with education, whether we're going to stay with BEP or we're going to go with the TISA program that's put forth by the governor. There are some other bills that will be moving through the system, not related to either of those, but I think those are the 3 big things that we'll be dealing with.
Education reform's huge.
Oh, and you know, it has an impact not just today, but 20, 30 years down the road. So we're having to decide, you know, would this go to summer study, the TISA program, or should it be voted on now, with the concept being that, well, it's not perfect right now, but let's pass it and then fix it. Well, you know, some in the legislature, you know, including myself, have concerns about that kind of thing.
So, okay, well, so it's a huge bill, changes the funding formula. Everyone says the current formula is messed up, needs to be changed. But you're thinking, you're kind of concerned about some of the details. You would like to see it maybe studied, put off, not pass this session, study it, make it better, look at it next session.
And see, what we're talking about is, it's not scheduled to go into effect, I believe it's 23-24 school year. So we could look at it over the summer and work out some kinks, you know, add some amendments and things of that nature. But what I'm picking up from people back home is that, you know, this process is being rushed. We're questioning the transparency, and you know, there's a concern also in regards to charter schools. And, you know, what the governor has made, well, some people around him make statements that, you know, want to bring in more charter schools, 50 or 100 from a small college out of Michigan. All those kinds of things, you know, make people have pause. You know, let's see what we really have here. And so I think we're going to work through it. I believe it's going to happen. So it may happen within the next 2 or 3 weeks.
It might happen. It might pass.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I'm interested in your thoughts. So you said it had been a tough period here.
Yes, sir.
You had more than one special session.
Yes.
You've had COVID. You've had redistricting. Temperatures were high at the start. And then your bill comes up in the middle of all that, which could be read as just, oh, well, that's nothing, just teach Black history. Or it could be read as, wait a minute, what's going on here? What we're trying to do is more of the culture wars. And so was it, do you think initially looked at as like, well, this is another sort of landmine or danger spot in the culture war, and they kind of stayed away from it, and then they came around? You had, it needs massive Republican support, and somehow you got that. You didn't have it in the beginning, and then you got it. And I asked this a little earlier, I guess, but yeah, how were you surprised? And I guess talk a little more about that evolution. How you had people that were opposed and then they changed their mind.
Well, initially, as I said, it was a broader bill, and you know, it had so many pieces to it that yes, you could pick out a piece that this creates a problem, or you're trying to bring so much into it. But when I sat down with my colleagues on both sides of the aisle and listened to them and attempted to incorporate their concepts, their concerns, their ideas into what we were trying to do, I think we found more support. And I think maybe that's overall, that's what we need to do in general, is listen to each other more. And you know, you're not going to get everything you want in a particular bill, and sometimes we're fortunate. I took maybe 2 years on this. There was another representative on the floor last night who was talking about he'd been working on a bill for 5 years. He got it through last night.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm saying people may think when government, you put something out there and it's supposed to become law. The reason it takes time is that people are looking at unintended consequences. And I think as a result of that, we've had to take our time, went over some of my colleagues, and it was a great journey. A great journey, you know, working with my colleagues. And I think we all have a better relationship with each other now than maybe prior to that.
And how do we build on that? So we hear all the bad stuff. We hear all the other stuff that can make you depressed and think, okay, things are not working.
Yes, sir.
Then you see this, and you're like, okay, good. And I don't want to overstate how great this is, but this is certainly progress and great.
Yes,
so
sir.
how do you build on that?
Let's listen to each other. Let's, that term we use, disagree without being disagreeable. Let's not take a position that is my way or no way. I think those are some of the things that initially we have to give consideration to.
All right. So where do we go from here? We have 2 minutes left here. Where would you like to see us go? I guess what bill you're looking at the education funding. You're looking at the budget. Are you looking at some other stuff, and kind of what are you going to be focused on in the final 3 weeks or so of this session?
Well, we do have a bill that is coming forth right now. It deals with the WIC program, dealing with children and parents and so forth. We learned some positive things out of the pandemic as to how to serve people better. Historically, what we've done is had people come to an office, sit there for hours, and not being served, and children, not enjoying the situation. But what we learned was that we could serve people over the phone. We could serve people by Zoom. So there were things that put in place. Well, what we're asking now in the bill that Senator Yarborough and I put together is that we incorporate some of those in our workplace environment going forward. And so we're doing a study, asking a study to be done, and by the end of the year, you come back to us and tell us what worked well. What can you use out of this going forward that streamlines our system and gives better service to those we're trying to serve.
And you've been up there 4 years. Are you going to run again? Do you have a plan of how long you may want to be up there?
Well, I'm blessed. I'm very fortunate. This time around, I'm running, and I have no opposition. So
your chances are good.
Yes, sir.
Chances might be pretty good.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. Well, thank you. Thank you for coming on. We're going to take a break.
Okay.
I will come back, wrap everything up right after this.